and welcome to Vince's Gym. As you can see, this gym is an homage to the golden era of bodybuilding with elements of Vince's Gym as well as elements from Gold's Gym. With equipment that I've sourced that is either from the golden era of bodybuilding, we're talking 70s, 80s, even back to the 60s, or some that I've actually custom built myself. Start with the Vince's Gym sign. This was actually custom made by a friend of Daryl Connons, and this was kindly shipped to me a couple of years ago, and it looks awesome. Just like at the original Gold's Gym, I've placed this dumbbell rack right at the entrance to the doorway, which has now Vince's Gym on top. But as you can see, the dumbbell rack is placed right next to the doorway, similar to Gold's Gym, with Arnold looking over. So moving from the dumbbell rack here, here's some of the custom-made equipment that I've made, similar to the original equipment actually that was at Vince's Gym. We've got under the dumbbell rack what's called a triceps bench, which allows you to actually perform things like lying triceps extensions, close grip bench presses, and you can actually grab the barbell from the floor because the bench is so low. I'll be demonstrating some of these exercises in future videos. Here we've also got what's called the cradle bench. Again, I custom made this myself, and it's wonderful for performing overhead triceps extensions, specifically the way Mr. Rollon taught them, and I'm going to be actually demonstrating this exercise too. In front here I've got what's called a forearm bench, and Larry Scott introduced this in his actual book Loaded Guns from the design that he got from Bill Pearl. Bill Pearl was the one that actually taught him about this particular forearm bench. Again, I'll be demonstrating many of the exercises on the forearm bench in the upcoming videos. Here we've got the spider curl bench that's been famously attributed to Vince's Gym as well. You've seen photos probably on the internet, and I've even talked about it with Larry Scott, Don Howarth, and other bodybuilders, Mike Mensa, Arnold Schwarzenegger, using the spider curl bench, especially for peaking the biceps. Again, I'll be demonstrating how to use this particular bench for arm workouts. Here we have what's called the standing preacher bench. Now this particular piece to me is one of the centerpieces of Vince's Gym in Switzerland. I had this custom made as well, welded to a metal plate. Another point that's very important to mention is that most of this equipment has gone through several revisions to get this right. Again, a lot of this is custom made. Some have gone from 2 to 3 different revisions until I've nailed down the design. And again, this particular bench, very different to the one that Larry Scott would come out with later where you could sit down. This design is based on the original design from Vince's Gym. It's the standing preacher curl bench, not seen anymore, and I'll be demonstrating all the variations that you can do on this particular machine in upcoming videos. school gym would be complete without a behind the neck press station like this one. Again, typical of the, you could say 80s. You've got the black leather with the white frame. It's a wonderful little piece that I picked up actually in Australia from an old school bodybuilder. Pretty awesome. This piece not only allows delt work, but also overhead tricep work with barbells. Again, I'll be demonstrating many different variations that can be performed on this particular station. Now here is a special piece of equipment. This is likely from the 1960s and represents the original type of incline bench. Back in the day, before incline benches were actually even created, these were actually hooked onto rods that were either on the wall, made of metal, or made of wood. And essentially, you could vary the angle by varying the height of the top of this bench. You'd have different levels of rods going up and down the wall, and you can hook the bench to a low degree or a very high degree. Another reason why this particular bench is special is because, again, like back in the day, you could do any kind of pressing action at any kind of angle, be it incline barbell pressing for the chest, if the angle of course was a bit lower, or so steep like this, you can actually work the delts. If the angle was a little lower, you could work the chest. And another variation that is important is that all incline work back in the day was done standing and not seated like it is nowadays. Another wonderful use of this piece of equipment, if you will recall from Vince's gym, was the fact that you could perform the exercise lying face down, and so it could allow all kinds of deltoid work to be done at different angles. You would lie your body head down either at very steep angles or change the angle to a different lower angle to hit the deltoid heads at different levels. So it's very unique. You're not going to see this piece of equipment often in gyms, and I'm going to be demonstrating the use of this bench for different kinds of pressing work for the chest and delts, as well as all kinds of lateral raises that you could also perform, and even flies that you could perform for delt and chest work. One could even perform different kinds of standing curls, etc. There's so much that could be done with this piece of equipment. Again, this will be demonstrated in future videos. Now, no golden era gym could be complete without a hack squat machine. The hack squat machines back in the day did not have the weight loading onto your shoulders. This particular hack squat, which I bought from Powertec, it's actually called the compact leg sled, allows you, just like in the golden era, to actually stand in the machine and perform the leg work without loading the shoulders, which is a much more direct work on the legs. And the handles actually were down here. This is very similar, for example, to the machine that was found at Vince's gym and other golden era gyms. Next to it, I've actually made my own attachments. One for the donkey calf raise. I'll actually be demonstrating this as well as many different kinds of calf raises that were done back then. Here is an A-frame that I created as well for a standing calf raise machine, as well as a calf raise step that could be used again for increasing your range of motion in the calf raise exercises. I've also got a barbell stand here with different barbells. We've got the Olympic barbell. I've got this wonderful multi-grip Swiss bar from Cross Equip. Thank you, Cross Equip. We've got a safety squat barbell here as well at the back for performing safety squats. And thanks to bells of steel, we've got this rackable easy curl bar that is optimal for doing very, very heavy, for example, close grip tricep barbell presses inside a power rack, for example, and even very, very heavy curls where you want to be at least have the safety of being performing these in a power rack. Although I've been talking about the very old school incline bench that hooks and you can vary the angle that way, no gym of course would be complete without an adjustable bench such as this one. And so of course this is very common in many gyms nowadays, and I still keep mine because it's obviously very, very useful. We've got here the Rogue Scout Reverse Hyper, which actually I've used to rehabilitate my back, strengthen my posterior chain. Sure, it's not necessarily an old school golden era bodybuilding piece of equipment, but then again, that's debatable. When you consider that Louis Simmons created this in the 1980s, you're kind of still overlapping with the golden era, at least of powerlifting. And so I find this piece of equipment absolutely necessary for anyone that is trying to strengthen their posterior chain. And I'll be actually talking about how I fixed my lower back pain. This was a crucial component in helping me strengthen my posterior chain and lower back. I'll be showing you that video very, very soon. So you guys have probably seen my power rack from my previous gym. I've kept it, it's still in working order. It's a piece of metal and it'll survive a nuclear war, so I'm not going to get rid of it. It's crucial. It's crucial, I believe, for any gym to have, any kind of gym especially. Not only is it a power rack, but it's got a cable station behind here that allows me to do all kinds of pull downs, either vertical or horizontal. And more importantly are the cable attachments that are behind it that allow me to do all kinds of cable variations. At the top here, I've got a multi-grip chin-up bar that allows me to do anything from pronated, supinated, neutral grip, pull-ups, and I use that often, and again, I think it's a fantastic piece of equipment. What can also be done on here is Vince's famous D-grip pull-up to the chest, or also called the sternum pull-up. Again, I'll be demonstrating these different kinds of variations on this channel. We've got different cable attachments here, and of note really this particular hook, which again was used by bodybuilders at Gold's Gym, at Vince Gironda. They would actually hook this on the chin-up bar and perform sternum chin-ups. This particular attachment, very similar to the one right now at Gold's Gym, and which was used by Arnold Schwarzenegger and the like, especially good for seated cable rows, mainly because of the rotating knurled grip. Very different to the fixed D grip, which is not ideal for cable rowing. Mainly it's ideal for actually gripping and hooking onto your chin-up bar and gripping it to do sternum chin-ups. There's a very major difference there in the way you use these particular handles. This particular single arm handle is very similar again to the one found in Gold's Gym. Very useful for performing curls and chest flies or cable crossovers. And you've got other single arm cable attachments here too. Here next to the window, we've got, this is a particular cable attachment that was actually made famous by Franco Colombo. The chain actually allows for people with shorter legs to have a greater range of motion. I'll be demonstrating why also. This particular chain with double D handles is actually very useful for getting a really great stretch in the lats. And all you need to do is look at Franco Colombo's back to understand the use of this particular cable attachment. It's very useful. Again, this was found at Gold's Gym, and I've made a replica of that particular cable attachment. This particular lat pull-down attachment was again famous at Gold's Gym. You may have seen Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ken Waller, and many of the Gold's Gym bodybuilders use this similar type of lat attachment. You can find it on Amazon. It's a great piece of equipment, and you can really, I find the difference is you can really heave down much more weight than a standard lat pull-down bar. This particular cable attachment is actually very similar to one found at Vince's Gym, and it's actually called the long pulley D handle. I'm actually getting the replica made, hopefully, by certain students of Vince Gironda. But should that not happen, I've still got this piece of equipment very similar to the one found at Vince's Gym for the long pulley row. It's a specific kind of exercise that Vince learned from the Silver Era legends. Next to it, we have the famous rings that were used again at Vince's Gym, and these are excellent for performing ring flies, like done at Vince's Gym as well. Again, I'll be demonstrating this exercise on the channel. We've got a variety of triceps cable attachments. We've got a rope handle. I custom made this one as well to be able to perform some of the exercises that Vince Gironda recommended. Here we've got a leather strap. Again, I got this actually from Rogue. You can actually find it from Rogue. It allows you to do some of Vince's variations as well. Over here, my father-in-law custom made some of these bars for me. This particular one is the famous Larry Scott triceps push-down handle. It's a V-bar actually. It's very, very good at hitting the lateral head of the triceps. Again, I'll be demonstrating this. This is another lat pull-down attachment that my father-in-law created for me. It's very similar to the one found at Gold's Gym, and you'll see commonly, or you would have seen commonly, Arnold Schwarzenegger performing behind the neck lat pull downs using this piece of equipment. This particular handle is very similar to the racing dive handle that was used at Vince Gironda's Gym. Again, I'll be demonstrating that as well. So here we've got a seated calf raise station. I actually got this from Australia from another old school bodybuilder. I believe he was like 70 years old. So we're talking real old school equipment here. Got it for 50 bucks. And as he said, this will survive a nuclear war. It's just pure metal. I love it. It works the calves great, especially the soleus. Again, I'll be demonstrating different kinds of calf variations using this particular piece of equipment. Over here we've got, again, my father-in-law, God bless him. My wife's actually doing a video right now, so I've got to say good things about my father-in-law. But this particular piece of equipment is for the power rack. It's a V-dip station, actually. Because this gym is not large enough to have a full V-dip station, this particular piece I can grab it, place it on the rack, and perform wide grip or close grip dips. It's fantastic for either building the chest or the triceps. Again, I'll be demonstrating all kinds of variations that will perform in the golden and silver era using this piece of equipment. In my opinion, it's a definite must to have in an old school gym. Finally, here we've got the Powertec attachment section. I love Powertec. I've already talked about their hack squat called the compact leg sled, but I also have bought many of their attachments, and again, the reason has to do is because they cater especially for the golden era of bodybuilding. We all know what this is. This particular leg attachment is useful for performing leg curls and leg extensions. Again, there are many variations that people are unaware of that will perform in the golden era, which I'll be demonstrating on the channel. You may recognize this piece of equipment kind of similar to one found at Vince's gym. It was called the Clark machine. And according to Don Howarth, Larry Scott, and many others, even Arnold Schwarzenegger, they said it was one of the best arm builders, specifically for the forearms. Now, there were only ever 4 Clark machines made in the world. I know that one was at Vince's gym, another one was at Bill Pearl's gym. Now, this particular piece of equipment is a preacher workbench attachment, and it actually attaches to any universal bench, is very, very similar to the Clark bench station that was at Vince's gym. Excellent for building forearms and your arms in general. Highly recommended, and I'll be demonstrating all kinds of variations because this particular pad, for example, can change you can also change the angle of the pad itself from vertical to horizontal. It's very, very versatile. It's fantastic. Now, this particular attachment is a triceps attachment. You actually attach it at the end of the bench. You stand either this way, behind it, or in front of it, depending on your preference, and you can do different kinds of push downs that, again, I'll be demonstrating. It's excellent at isolating the triceps. And if you didn't know, Vince Gironda was one of the first trainers to actually create a push down machine like this. Not many people know about that, but of course Powertec have come out with their own, very, very similar to the one found at Vince's gym. Finally, at the back here, we've got a pec fly and reverse delt station. Again, attaches to a universal bench, and I'll be demonstrating different exercises that can be done on this particular machine. Here you may recognize this particular landmine. It's actually for performing T-bar rows. Again, you'll recall watching Arnold and Pumping Iron at Gold's Gym doing rep after rep of T-bar rows, and this is a great little attachment that connects to the Olympic barbell that allows you, again, using different grips to perform T-bar rows. This section is what I call Baraban's wall. Why? Because my good friend Robert Baraban from Austria produces, in my opinion, some of the best old school equipment there is. You've got this particular front squat harness, which I love. I've actually demonstrated a video in the past on the 20 or so different exercises you can perform using this harness. Here you've got a variety of chest expanders, including the regular chest expanders and the Rollon. Below, you've got the chest crusher, which most of you will be aware of thanks to some of my videos and thanks to some of the videos from Alex Leonidas. It's wonderful for working the chest. And here you've got different sized iron horseshoes. Wonderful for working short range power, pulling and pushing. Excellent, and these are excellent for also practicing iron horseshoe bending. Really awesome pieces of equipment by Baraban. Cross Equip actually sent me this lovely little mini Nordic bench. You may have seen the shorts on YouTube that I've put up. It's wonderful, of course, for working Nordics, which will work your posterior chain and hamstrings. Wonderful little piece of equipment. I'll be doing some demo videos as well on this piece of equipment. And the wonderful thing about this Nordic bench that you can again get from Cross Equip is that it's very easy to fold away and to move around because of the wheels. You can actually store it vertically if you don't have space, or you can lie it down like I've got in this gym here, and just takes a very, very small amount of space. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of my new gym, which I call, of course, Vintage Gym Switzerland. And I really look forward to bringing you a lot of new content, demonstrating a lot of this old school equipment and how to actually use it. Also, I'll be showing you how to actually adapt new school or modern equipment to actually be able to perform these kinds of old school exercises effectively. So I look forward to bringing you that on the channel. Thanks again for watching, and this is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Head to www.goldenerabookworm.com for the biggest range of classic old school bodybuilding books as ebooks, e-magazines such as Iron Man and Reg Park Journal, high quality bodybuilding posters of the Golden Era stars, merchandise and classic gymwear featuring Steve Reeves, Marvin Eder, John Grimmick, Reg Park, and many other Golden Era stars. For those wishing to build a classic physique, lose fat and build muscle, online training is also available. Collectibles such as rare autographed photos from the Golden Era stars are also available, and to collaborate, please get in touch.